My name, Dias Funk, came from, the short version is, it's from a comic book. A friend of mine and I were sitting in a diner, and we were really into comics when I was much younger, and we were talking about an editorial. Stan Lee had done the editorial, and he always wrote "Nuff said" at the end. And my friend was just like, it's the Dias Funk backwards. It's "Nuff said." And that's where it comes from. It's "Nuff said." It's like minds. It's like I've only known Lee. I mean, I know the name Lee Farmer. I've known it for decades, but I only met Lee personally a little over a year ago, and he described what he was trying to do, and it made absolute sense to me.
Children. She's doing a whole book tour, so we did the book signing here earlier today.
My name is Lee Farmer. I am a producer, a DJ, an audio engineer, and a venue owner. And this is Wax Vinyl Bar. I had this idea in my head for many years. I wanted to create a place where, you could play music. You didn't have to follow the norms of what everyone else is doing. You didn't have to play the music that was on the radio. You could embrace independent music, independent artists. You could play independent records. You could play new stuff. You could play old stuff. You could play every genre of music. And you could create a community. Like yesterday, I played an event for the Recording Academy, and I used my controller and my computer because I have my records over here, and I had to come straight over here to DJ. So it's easier for me to set everything up, play a digital set over there, and then come over here and play vinyl. Oh, 100%. I always would rather play records. They're hands down. I mean, playing digitally is cool. There's a lot of stuff you can do, like Serato has this thing called stems, where you can pull out different pieces of the music and you can remix on the fly, and that's really dope for your creative juices, right? And just thinking about, you can remix records on the fly doing that. And that's fun. I was doing that yesterday. But it still doesn't have the feel of playing records, right? And it's much easier. Like yesterday, I felt like I was cheating. So when you're playing vinyl, right, if you come to the break in a record and you miss that break, you miss the break. The record's still going. With Serato or with CDJs, you can loop it, and then you get multiple chances to go back and hit that break and mix that record, right? With vinyl, you got one chance. Put DJs in a room with a dope sound system, turntables that are perfectly maintained, the top of the line mixer, and people who are open. The DJs are having a ball, but also the patrons are having a ball, and everybody is having a good time. The energy is amazing, right? And so that's the most rewarding thing for me, is that I was able to create a place where everybody's vibrating at a higher frequency. And that just does it for me. So, all right, so I know a lot of DJs and I know a lot of different vinyl collectors, right? And some vinyl collectors aren't really DJs. Most DJs are collectors at some level, but there's a lot of cats that you talk to and everyone sees the records differently, right? So there's certain people that they remember every single artist, every single song, every single liner note. But then there's other people that may forget all that, but they know what the labels look like. And so, I mean, they'll know the songs to a point, but they may forget who the artist is. But when they're going through their vinyl, they'll know the label, and then it'll click, and it'll be, oh, that's that, boom. And then they'll play it, you know what I'm saying? So everybody's process is a little bit different.
I played at a spot called Arbea here in Chicago, and I had a residency there every Tuesday for a couple of years. And that's where I met Lee, actually. And he came in, and I had discussed Rich Medina and how he was an influence on me. And he came in, I want to say 2 or 3 weeks later, and he came in with his wife, and he came in with Rich Medina. And I fanboyed out. Oh God, did I fanboy out. I was like, oh, it's Rich Medina. Then fast forward, and Rich Medina played here. I got to support him. I got to open for him. It was a highlight, definitely a highlight, definitely in the top 10 musical moments in my life. It was playing with Rich Medina, no question.
So 45s are they're just cool. They're easy to travel with. They're actually more challenging to play. So like when you're playing 45s, you have way less time to get in and out of a record. It's a faster paced scenario. You really don't have time to like talk and mess around, or you're gonna miss that break on the record. So to me, it's fun, and it's, you know, like anything that's a challenge is fun, right? So that's more of a challenge. You know, when you've been doing something for a long time, and you've gotten it past your 10,000 hours, then it's like, all right, what's next? I don't think vinyl ever went away. It's everything.